Good afternoon and welcome to Racing WA TV on this beautiful Sunday afternoon at the KBRC, the Kalgoorlie Boulder Racing Club. My name is Tessa Daly and joining me this afternoon is Riley Morgan. Riley, 7 races on today's program, a very interesting day of racing as well, but let's touch on the weather. The last time we were here together, it was freezing cold, and today, absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, very thankful the sun's out today, Tess, as I say good afternoon to you and to everyone tuned in to Racing WA TV this afternoon. Always interesting racing up here on the Goldfield. 7 races to look forward to this afternoon. I thought it was a relatively tough day from a betting perspective. Not a great deal of confidence from mine in many of these races today. I thought there was numerous winning chances and some very competitive fields. But I did like one in the opening race here, actually, in Vervain for Kerry Martin, who has put together a couple of really strong runs to begin his career. I thought it looked a nice race for him, and in the final race on the program, I'm pretty keen on feuding. We followed him in last start. He was incredibly unlucky stepping up to the 1760 metres. He's back to the mile today, but he's drawn to stay out of trouble, which I like. So I don't think Lucy Fiore will be stuck in behind them like she was there last start this afternoon, and hoping she can get the job done aboard him a bit later on today. He's a horse with a terrific record at this track. He loves racing here at Kalgoorlie, so I'm hoping he can right the wrongs from that last start disappointment.
Hopefully. He's one of my favourites as well. I'm sure if you tune in regularly you would know that. I'd love to talk him up, but beautiful horse and great day of racing. We just touched on the weather. The track is a good 4. The rail's out at the 3 metre mark. How do we see today's racing playing out?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting early doors. Obviously, it pays to take note early with how the track plays over those first couple of races. We've seen meetings where the fence has been the place to be here. We've also seen meetings where they've been able to make plenty of ground down those outside lanes. So just something to bear in mind, Tess, as we get through these earlier races on the program. Not as much of a factor over those longer races, those races over the mile and the 1760. I don't think it makes as much of a difference as it does in comparison to those shorter trips.
Absolutely. And touching on some of the jockeys that appear here today, Lucy Fiore riding in tremendous form. I think we've talked about we've said the same words in the last few meetings we've been here, but 4 winners yesterday at Bunbury. Gee, she's just riding exceptionally and just continue to ride well.
And it was almost 5. She was just lipped out in the final race on that program there at Bunbury too, so it was almost a career day for Lucy there yesterday. She enjoys the races at Bunbury because it's just down the road from the property, so she doesn't have to do the drive up to Perth, which makes yesterday all the more satisfying for her. And as you mentioned, another typically strong book of rides, and she is riding 54 kilos today, which is a good push for Treasured Queen in what is, I think, the race of the day, race 3 on the program. That 70 plus contest is going to be a beauty. Second up today is Treasured Queen, so I do think the fact that Lucy's down to the 54 today is a relatively strong push that she'll go well second up.
Exciting times ahead for sure. Hopefully plenty of winners to be found. Today as well, KBRC is hosting the first ever Miss Kalgoorlie contest. There's a pageant contest going on over near the members area. There's over 250 people here at this event. There's 24 contestants that will all be fighting out for a crown and a sash, so be sure to tune in on socials. I'm sure we'll get a photo up later on when there is a Miss Kalgoorlie race as well named after the winners. And there's an opportunity for the winner. I just went and had a quick chat and did some research earlier to head over to New York as well. So it's a great opportunity to put Kalgoorlie on the map, and for the first time here in the KBRC to host something like that, it's fantastic. Last meeting there was a wedding here as well. So
plenty of weddings here at the KBRC.
Yes, and I'm sure that's probably something I wouldn't mind as well. A wedding at the races, no doubt. It'd be quite a good party, I think, for sure. But if you are around in the Kalgoorlie region, it's a beautiful day. Be sure to pop on down to the races today. 7 races to be run and won. Quite an early finish today, but not a bad thing on a Sunday. You can get home then and get ready for the week. But race number 1, runners are still yet to come into the yard, Riley, but only 7 runners go around in the opener. How do we see things playing out here?
Got an overly strong race, Test, to kick off proceedings here this afternoon, but a race where I thought there were numerous winning chances. I did like the last start run of Vervain. She bumped into Striker's Gal on that occasion, who's a horse that has been threatening to break her maiden for quite some time now. And you go back to her run on debut over the 1,000 metres at Belmont Park. I thought she hit the line really nicely behind the Calabrese on that occasion. occasion, who was a really strong winner at Bunbury last Wednesday and looks a really progressive horse on the rise for the Gangemis. And she actually beat home a runner she meets here, Purple Circle, on that occasion as well. She got past that galloper pretty convincingly over the final 100 metres, and given the fact that was over the 1,000, they're stepping up to the 1,100 metres here this afternoon. That would suggest that it would suit Vervain a little bit more than it would Purple Circle. So I'm going in with the mindset that Vervain finds a really nice race here from a good barrier to open up the day this afternoon.
Personally, I'm really excited to see Purple Circle go around. I did have a little bit to do with him early days, and it's great to see him here second up today. Runners are just entering the yard now, so we'll start the preview with the one in Witchy Woods. The blinkers are off, the visors are on for the first time. Paul Tapper and Brandon Louis.
Back to 1,100 metres today, Witchy Woods. He's been relatively one pace since he's arrived here at Kalgoorlie. He's been racing over the 1,400 metres and the mile. His last run was actually over the mile. He was beaten 8 lengths on that occasion by Think Like a Winner. Didn't really have too many excuses on that occasion, Tess. And I do think that even though the blinkers come off today, the visors go on, and he has drawn a nice barrier to hold up in a positive position in running. I do think with that very sharp drop back in trip, they might just be a little bit too sharp for him.
The two is Vervain. You're on topper here, Riley, Kerry Martin and Troy Turner.
As mentioned, Tess, this galloper beat home Purple Circle, who he meets here on debut over the 1,000 metres. That was behind the Calabrese. He was only beaten 4 lengths on that occasion. Got back in running, and I love the way he attacked the line over the concluding stages. Ran second last start, first run here at Kalgoorlie. That was over 1,200 metres, led on that occasion, and was only run down over the concluding stages by Striker's Gal, who, albeit a horse that has had a few chances, had been racing in some better races prior to that. So I do think that's good form leading into this race today. Back to 1,100 metres. Given he was only run down very late, is going to suit him. As we know, he's shown that versatility in his first 2 runs of his career as well. And I thought this looked a really nice race for him, and at a backable price as well, Tess. I think at around that $3 mark, that's good value here with one of our more favoured horses in the market at the moment.
Is on the second line of betting, opened at $3.80, now $2.90 on the Tab Touch market. The 3 is Poet and I Know It, John Lugg and Alex Hearn.
Didn't mind the debut run of this horse, who trialled quite well leading into that debut run, was put into the race nice and early and probably only faded over the last 100 metres. Was a run that suggested to me that maybe he's going to be better once he does get out over a little bit further than the 1,100 metres. Like the fact that Alex Hearn jumps on board today. Does have a tricky draw to navigate, but Alex Hearn, an ever positive jockey, if he can get this horse across and into a prominent position, I can certainly see him running an improved race at start number 2.
The 4 is Our Desperado, Neville Parnham, Keshaw Duran.
He's only been playing in 2 runs back this campaign. It's actually been his initial campaign as well, but had trialled on many occasions leading into his debut. Has drawn well here this afternoon in barrier 5, but you look at those beaten margins from his 2 races to date, 13.5 lengths behind Lucky I Am, 17 lengths behind More Heroic. This is easier, but I would still want to see him lift on those recent performances, and hasn't really shown anything just yet.
The 5 is the current Tab Touch favourite, open at $3.80, now into $2.80. Purple Circle, Dion Luciani, Tash Faithfull.
3-year-old colt having start number 2 here today, and the trial form prior to that debut run over the 1,000 metres at Belmont Park reads up pretty well. Ran third in a 400-metre jump out. Actually closed off quite well in that 400-metre jump out as well behind Repossession, who, as we know, is a really nice, promising 3-year-old for the Gangemis. Won a trial over the 1,000 metres, defeating Nikiana pretty convincingly on that occasion. Showed his early speed, I should say, to lead over the 1,000 metres on debut, but was run down very early into the straight on that occasion. Was beaten by Vervain on debut as well, who was able to run past him over that 1,000-metre trip. Only start number 2, though, for him. Shown promise at the trials, as mentioned, Tess, so no surprise to see him come on quickly, and I anticipate Tash Faithfull will be pretty keen to hold up in front and lead today from barrier 1.
Does look quite alert going out there on course, but in the hands as well with the clerk of the course, making it around safely. The 6 is Sunset Bar, Rob Goldberty, Braden Garth.
Thought she ran a really improved race last start, stepping up to the 1,300 metres on that occasion at Northam. She rolled forward, she whacked away quite nicely over the concluding stages. She's stepping back in trip today over the 1,100 metres, which might be a slight cause for concern given her run prior to that over the 1,100 metres. She just found them a little bit sharp, and she was beaten 13 lengths at the finish. Thought they'd look to roll forward with her again here. Braden Garth's in some terrific form, and think if he can find the breeze, and she'll run another very honest race.
And the 7 is I Know Nothing, having first race start today. Peter Fernie, Lucy Fury.
3-year-old filly on debut, as you mentioned, Tess. Had that recent trial at Belmont over the 1,000 metres and didn't really show a great deal in that trial. I thought the 400 metre jump out back on the 6th of January was quite good. Defeated King's Drama in that 400 metre jump out. Always respecting of the combination test, Peter Fernie and Lucy Fury from a nice barrier that she has drawn. The winkers go on for her debut as well. But off that recent trial, she did open up favourite in the market. I know she has drifted significantly since that opening price. I'm just happy to look around her here on debut.
Looking at the market now ahead of the opener, the Kalgoorlie Feedbarn Maiden over the 1,100 metres. Purple Circle is the favourite, open $3.80 into $2.40, now back out to $2.80. Vervain on the second line of betting is $3.80 into $2.80, now at $3. I Know Nothing having debut race start today, $2.20 out to $3.30. Poet and I Know It is $10 out to $12. Sunset Bar $6 out to $13. Witchy Wood $21 into $17s, and our Desperado $34. Riley, how are we seeing things play out in the opener?
2, 5, 6 and 7, my numbers here, Tess. Thought this looked a really nice race for Vervain off his recent runs to begin his career. As we mentioned, he ran straight past Purple Circle on debut over the 1,000 metres. Has had the one run here at Kalgoorlie as well, led throughout over the 1,200 metres on that occasion, and was only run down late by Striker's Gal, who's a horse that has shown ability as well. Back to 1,100 metres today. Troy Turner jumps on board, can take up a prominent position in running. He gets out to $3.30 in the market now, and I thought he deserves favouritism over Purple Circle, so that's where the value in this current market lies for me. So Vervain on top from the 5 Purple Circle. I anticipate Tash Faithfull comes out very positive with him to try and hold the top. Was run down over the 1,000 metres on debut, but only start number 2 for this 3-year-old colt, so there would be no surprise to see him really jump out of the ground and continue to improve early in his career, and his trial form reads up really well prior to that debut run. The 6 in for third, Sunset Bar. Thought she ran a much improved race last start, stepping up to 1,300 metres. She'll find this a little bit easier. Not sure the drop back to the 1,100 metres is in her favour here today, but if Braden Garth can get her out of the barriers and get her across into a prominent position, I think she'll run another very honest race. And the 7, I Know Nothing, in for 4th. The recent trial didn't exactly excite me, Tess, but always very respecting of the combination of Peter Fernie and Lucy Fury. Peter Fernie hasn't had many maidens go around in Kalgoorlie this season. This would certainly be one of, if not the first maiden that we've seen him head to the races with. 3-year-old filly on debut, and has shown a little bit at the trials prior to that most recent public appearance, and has a nice barrier to work with on debut as well. 2, 5, 6 and 7, my numbers here in the opener, Tess. Only a small field of maidens to kick off the day. Thought there were a few winning chances here, but thought it looked a nice race for the 2 Vervain off his 2 starts to begin his career.
Plenty of improvement as well, which will come from these runners, obviously very new to racing as well. A lot of younger horses going around. 2, 5, 6 and 7 are Riley's numbers in the opener. 2 Vervain on top. He's continuing to drift in the market since our preview started. Started at $2.80 when we first started chatting here. Riley has now drifted out to $3.30. Purple Circle drifting as well. I Know Nothing is now the new favourite. There's obviously a lot of supporters with the Peter Fernie Lucy Fury combination.
And we would like to apologise in advance as well for those on Racing WA TV for the new microphone socks that we are rolling with today. But it's better than not having microphones, Tess.
That's
so we'll keep pushing forward.
Hopefully we can back a winner. We might be able to get an extra couple there. But it does look, it's a great day for racing here at the Kalgoorlie Boulder Racing Club. Runners are still making their way into the barriers, just a little bit behind start time now. However, we'll hand you upstairs to Royce Newton, who'll be calling home all the action today to take us away for the first, the Kalgoorlie Feedbarn Maiden over the 1,100 metres.
Thanks, Tess. Yes, Riley as well. Runners behind the line here for the running of race number 1. It is the Kalgoorlie Feedbarn Maiden. I Know Nothing went forward riderless into line. Favouritism is with I Know Nothing at $2.90 on debut today. Machino filly out of a Hassan mare. On screen there, we've got Sunset Bar from the Gilberti camp. Braden Garth in the saddle. Start number 5 for Sunset Bar. Been racing around the Metropolitan Provincials. Finished 4th last start, 5 lengths behind the winner there at Northam. So we're just awaiting Sunset Bar and Poet and I Know It, and we'll be set to go for race number 1, just the field of 7 to get us underway over the short course. The Kalgoorlie Feedbarn Maiden. So Poet and I Know It to come forward. I Know Nothing, your favourite. One for the Sergeant Schultz fans, 1,100 metres ahead of them. Stand by. Red lights on, the first from Kalgoorlie and the gates fly back. Starter caught them in a perfect line as well. Sunset Bar just being restrained to the tail now, pushing forward early on. It's Purple Circle, so freewheeling to the front. It's Purple Circle who shows the way. Our Desperado on the outside on the improve. They were being followed by I Know Nothing, who gets into a nice position. Between runners is Witchy Woods, and around the outside Poet and I Know It improves to 3rd now. They were followed a further 2 to Sunset Bar the outside, and Vervain on the second line of betting is last of the 7, but only 4 lengths covers the field as they leave the 550 behind them. And it's Purple Circle who shows the way out by 3/4 of a length. Now asked to improve the outside, Our Desperado. Poet and I Know It has done additional work down on the inside. I Know Nothing followed next of all by Witchy Woods. Sunset Bar and Vervain would have to be shot out of a cannon inside the final 250. And it's Purple Circle doing it nicely. Down the outside, Our Desperado picking up the bit again. Further back to Witchy Woods with Vervain, who gets into the clear now, but it's Purple Circle nicely clear. Purple Circle inside the final 50 goes on and wins by a couple. Second, I fancy the outside Vervain, just ahead of Our Desperado. They were followed in by Witchy Woods. A break then we had Sunset Bar, I Know Nothing, and at the tail of the field it was Poet and I Know It who did plenty of work. Okay, Purple Circle straight to the front, never to be headed. Tash Faithfull in the saddle. And at start number 2, Purple Circle for Dion Luciani. This Safeguard colt, a 3-year-old, breaks through at start number 2. Had plenty of trials before heading to the races 4 weeks ago. When finishing 6th, tried to lead throughout on that occasion. Went down 4.5 behind the Calabrese, but today has gone straight to the front at the KBRC. And was never in danger in the run to the line. The official margin, 1.5 lengths by a half head. 2 gets second, that was Vervain. Another big run, just got well back in the run from barrier 4. And last start we saw Vervain lead. Today we saw it last at the top of the straight. And has absolutely reeled off a really good sectional to finish second. 4 gets third, that's Our Desperado, a better run for this 3-year-old from the Neville Parnham stable, and 4th will be the one Witchy Woods. So the numbers 5, 2, 4 and 1, 1.5 by a half head, and the winning gallop 105.75, 5, 2, 4, 1 interim. Well, it's Purple Circle, Dion Luciani, Tash Faithfull by Safeguard from Unruffled, owned by S. Herndon Hunter, G. McKinnon, G. Fontaine, Miss D. Grainer, Miss C. Galla, and also A. Fenner. Purple Circle breaks through at start 2. 2 gets second, that's Vervain for Kerry Martin and Troy Turner by Longleaf from Funky Town, owned by Mrs. C. Martin, P. Martin, Miss A. Martin, Dr. J. Martin, B. Martin, and Mrs. C. White. Third in was the 4. Our Desperado for Neville Parnham, Keshore Durham by Zeus Star from Alice's Smart, owned by the Ridgeport Syndicate, and 1 gets 4th. That's Witchy Woods for Paul Tapper and Brandon Louis. Race 2 is next, the KalgoorlieTourism.com Maiden. Going over the 1400, the scratching is number 10, a field of 9 to run, but 5, 2, 4, 1 are the numbers after the running of race 1 as we head down to the yard.
Thanks, Royce. It was a nice victory there. Riley for Purple Circle. Dion isn't on course. He's over in Europe at the moment. I'm sure living the best life on a holiday, well earned and deserved. But Tash Faithfull leads all the way, gets the job done. I think he'll definitely improve off this run too. Still looked quite green out there and will only continue to blossom.
Yeah, that'll make it a nice start to Dion's Sunday, or maybe a nice end to his Saturday night, depending on where he finds himself in Europe. But a really nice performance from this 3-year-old colt, Tess, as you mentioned, who's quite a striking type in the yard as well. The trial form read up quite well well leading into his debut, and clearly he's come on from that debut run as well. Tash Faithfull was able to find the front with him today and saw off all the challenges late in the piece with a little bit in hand as well, and I thought he did things quite professionally, the way he was able to improve in his racing manners as well from that first start at Belmont Park. We'll grab a quick word with Tash once she's finished unsaddling. Tash, we're just having a little bit of trouble with him there. He's on his toes, but Tash, that was a nice sit and steer job to start the day.
Yeah, he's a lovely little horse. Very green, and he's a little bit feisty. He's got a bit to learn and probably needs to just settle down a little bit, but I felt like he has a lot of raw ability underneath him.
He certainly looks like a horse with a bit of a future, and I thought he did things a bit more professionally today than he did at start number one, so you'd suggest with a bit more racing experience under the belt, he can certainly keep improving.
Yeah, I think he definitely improved today, but not sure if you could see on the camera, but he was very green underneath me and sort of wanted to get the head up a little bit high, so I think plenty of improvement moving forward with him.
Always a strong book of rides for yourself here at Kalgoorlie this afternoon. Who are you most looking forward to jumping on board a little bit later on this afternoon?
I really like a horse called 1 O'Clock Somewhere. Always liked him. Ben Pearce is a big fan of him. It's one of his favourites as well, so I think he'll be hard to beat today.
Best of luck later on today, and well done here in the first.
Thank you.
There's Tash Faithfull combining with Dion Luciani and Purple Circle taking out the Kalgoorlie Feedbarn Maiden. We just had Peter Hall come up and say it was an omen bet today after the Dockers got the job done last night. Vervain in for second, Our Desperado third, and Witchy Woods in for fourth. Stick with us. It's 7 races on today's program. We won't be too far away ahead of race number 2.
It's 1,100 metres ahead of them. Stand by. Red lights on. The first from Kalgoorlie, and the gates fly back. Starter caught them in a perfect line as well.